Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Easy Peasy Show brought to you by Sportasonic. You can listen to every episode of the Easy Peasy Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere else you usually listen to your podcast on. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Now let's get into the episode. So, I don't know if you watched Peyton, but the U.S. men's basketball team doing us proud. Not really in the first quarter. They kind of had a little slow get off there, but they were able to, make us proud, show the Puerto Ricans who's boss.
They had us in the
So,
first half, not gonna lie.
yeah, no, it wasn't pretty. I was like, oh man, they're talking about how this is going to be the worst U.S. team. It's not we're an Olympic team or anything, but it's still you're playing against the world. But yeah, it was pretty slow start. Everyone was on Austin Reeves' meat, even though he can't defend. So, for as many points as he makes, he probably gives up double the amount. So all I'll say about him. Our starters look pretty solid though. We got massive length on the team. Anyways,
Mm.
pretty good length. I think Jalen Brunson definitely tried to look like the leader out there. I'm not sure if he ended up doing that, but I know that's the direction Steve Kerr wants to go with the team. And I'm sure at the end of the day we'll end up winning gold. I don't know. I don't see a route where we're not going to be like the U.S. women's soccer team. Guess I'll say that.
I mean, we're not gonna get put out in the first round. I doubt that. If that happens, I think it would be a shock to everybody.
Oh yeah, none of those players would be allowed back in America.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like a bad year in basketball for us is like anybody else's dream year. Finishing runner up, maybe.
I was supposed to say, what happened for us to make the dream team again? I forgot. Like, didn't we? Like, it's not like I forgot what happened to make the dream team be made. The Olympic dream team, if you know what I'm talking about.
No, I do recall. I think we just suffered like an embarrassing loss or something, and people were starting to talk garbage about the U.S. and they said, you know what? We'll show you what it looks like when the best U.S. players play.
Yes, and it was proper shellackings from there on. But
I wish they would bring back those types of teams, like where people actually want to play for the United States. I mean, to me, Team USA and like baseball is a big thing. People love to play for Team USA. This year, they got a lot of the best players like Mookie Betts, Mike Trout, Trey Turner. It's good to see like the best players in that sport play for their team, or for their nation. So I wish they would kind of do that go back to doing that in basketball.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, and it's I guess it's more or less players don't really. It's not that they don't want to represent the country. I guess it's just at the end of the day, is I make millions, playing professionally. Why would I go out there and risk myself? Or like, there's really no need for me to do this.
Yeah, plus it's their break time, if you will. I mean, It is a pretty long season. I kind of wish they would move, international play up towards maybe like training camp. So instead of like just going through a training camp, working the kinks out, you can go play some actual games, get some good experience. I mean, sure. I mean, of course you'll go through a little bit of training camp first, but I believe that's what they do for baseball. Like the World Baseball Classic, they have it more geared towards like spring training and stuff. So players will miss some of their spring training and then they obviously get good game experience and then just fall right back into spring training afterwards.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to something like that. But
you can see a lot more players play in that scenario.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't know. You never know with NBA players. I feel like NBA's filled with the most prima donnas out of any sport. Maybe soccer tops it, but
wide receivers. I don't know. NBA might have a beat.
Yeah, I mean, let me take you back to a time whenever there was a missed call in a Celtics and Lakers game, and LeBron couldn't believe it.
I mean, dude, that was the most hilarious thing I think I've ever seen in an NBA game. That and Luka Doncic emoting.
Yes, the emote after that sick. He just tied it up. I don't even think it was a game winner. They were down like 10 with like 5 seconds left. Something crazy stupid, and they came back and he hit.
I know we're well past.
He emoted.
I know we're well past the NBA season, but I'm just going to throw it out there again. It's been said by many, but this was definitely the funniest season that we've ever had.
Yes. Yep, and
World class humor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's you can pretty much pick any moment from any team. It'd probably be like the funniest moment from that team in the past like 3 or 4 years, you know.
Never
So,
forget Zion 360 windmilling on the Suns, and then like 2 games later getting hurt for the year.
hmm unfortunate, but it is what it is. He played his minimum that he needed to get his money to send to the OnlyFans
Mariah
model.
Mills.
Yes.
mm, mm.
Unbelievable. No, anyway, so I think that's enough basketball. NFL released their top 10 finally. I say their top 10, but as voted on by the players, as they say. And I'm not sure if you've seen the list, Peyton, but I'll run through it really quick.
Yeah,
Number 10 is Chris Jones. 9 is Micah Parsons. 8, Josh Allen. 7, Tyreek Hill. 6, Joe Burrow. 5, Travis Kelce. 4, Nick Bosa. 3, Jalen Hurts. 2, Justin Jefferson. And 1, Patrick Mahomes. Any surprises in that list for you?
might get some hate for this, but I don't think Jalen Hurts is a top 3 player in the NFL. I think he's very good before I get started, and definitely a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. But it'd be hard for me to put him over Joe Burrow and
Racist.
Josh Allen.
Racist.
I mean, I have half of Patrick Mahomes at number 1.
There you go.
No. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is number 1. Seeing Nick Bosa that high up is a little surprising to me, just because he's somewhat injury prone. I mean, when he's on the field, he's most certainly a top 5 player, though. I'll give him that. Chris Jones being up there, that's not really a surprise. It's just a surprise that he's still not signed to a team, specifically the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, it's cool to see the defensive players getting recognition. The fact that I mean, it's obviously mainly line or people who line up on the line. Your Jones, Parsons, and who else was it? Bosa,
Yeah, Bosa.
Nick Bosa. Um, Shows you how much of a threat they are to offenses. The fact that they've garnered that much respect. That I mean, let's be honest, it's probably offenses that are voting them more high than like defensive players.
Oh, without a doubt.
Typically you respect your opponent who you play straight up against, and so I feel like these rankings are more of a reflection of oppositions. Granted, I'm not saying like Patrick Mahomes wouldn't vote for Joe Burrow to be a top 3 quarterback. I'm not saying he wouldn't just because they both play offense, but I feel like there's more respect. More respect for people who go up against each other. So I'm imagining almost every offensive lineman in the NFC probably voted for Nick Bosa as like a top 3 player.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, he is spectacular, as is Chris Jones and obviously Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the defensive player of the year this year if I was a betting
Mm-hmm.
man.
Yeah, and I am a betting man, but I do need to do more research. He's probably the favorite, but you know me, I hate betting favorites unless it's just like stupid not to. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
who you got there? You got Nick Bosa, obviously Michael Parsons,
Patrick
uh,
Queen.
Aaron Donald,
Hello, Patrick Queen.
um, Cam Jordan, resurgence year.
Yes, Jimmy Graham, Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he's still 6'8" and he still loves the red zone apparently, according to him.
I guess not much else you can say about yourself. Not like what else can you say about yourself?
Seemingly, the last time we saw him, he walked off the field in the dome after catching a touchdown pass for the Bears in the playoffs. So I thought he disappeared after that, never to be seen again.
Yeah, he's back.
Then one day I just see the Saints are signing him. Couldn't believe my eyes.
No, I don't think anyone could believe it. Don't think anyone could believe it at all. But yeah, I'm not really surprised at that top 10. I kind of am, kind of not. I think they all are deserving of those. I take that back. I think they all deserve to be ranked. Maybe obviously some of these numbers can be flipped. I agree with you on the Jalen Hurts kind of side of things. 3 seems a little outrageous. I think people are just high
I
on him.
think the Super Bowl bias obviously has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I was going to say that. He really did have a good season, too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, MVP caliber season. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
there's a
know.
number
Number
three
three,
above Burrow and above Allen is a little
which
extra.
Allen didn't have a great year, if we're going to be real. But
Hmm.
I still, when I hear top 100 players, I'm not saying who had the best 100 seasons last year. I'm thinking best 100 players.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely,
So
absolutely. Well, we can move on from that and stay on football. Actually, just move to the amateur level. That is the NCAA. If you'd
yeah,
like, maybe give a little ACC preview.
I'm good with it, man.
All right, let's run into it then. Full steam ahead. Who is the worst team in the ACC?
Virginia.
I actually have Georgia Tech, but but you see, and here's
So
the thing. Here's the thing. Freaking ranks 14. There's 14 teams in the ACC, right?
yes, I think 6 through 14 could all finish last.
Yes, yes. Oh, I wouldn't say my six, but maybe realistically, like not, I don't know. I'm looking through my list. Realistically,
Is your
the
6
bottom.
Louisville?
Yes,
Mine too.
but
I
that's
just
the
don't
thing.
know.
You have your upper echelon of Florida and Clemson,
Florida State.
Miami. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, Florida State, Clemson, Miami. I kind of we'll talk about them later, but basically, there's like a 1 and 2, and then like a 3 through 5,
And then the
and then
rest.
like a six. Yes, and then like a 6 through 14. But there's a decent sized gap between 6 and 14 in my eyes.
Yeah, sure.
Not,
I
but
mean, I'll agree with that.
but
But there's a lot of question marks for all of those teams.
yes, at
Like
the
big
end of the day,
question
it
marks.
wouldn't surprise me if my 6 finished in 10th, or if my 14th finished in ninth. I guess
Yes.
it just wouldn't surprise me all the way around. But well, so if you want, we can either go team by team, because something tells me we're going to vary a lot here, at least in these like first 10 teams. Um, if we want, we can go team by team, or we can go what we have them like rank by rank. I'm not sure whether
We
there's a better way to do it. One way is better than the other, but
no, we can go team by team if you'd like.
what if I don't want to?
I mean, it was your
I'm
suggestion.
joking.
So.
I'm joking. Ha ha. Yeah, we can go team by team. We can start with Virginia if you'd like, since you said them first. And like I said, I mean, I have them at 13 personally, but
Yes.
14's not far off. Bottom feeder either way.
Yeah, and I mean, point blank, they're just not a good team. They went 3-7 last year. 1-6 in the ACC. They have a second year head coach. Man, I don't know, man. They're just not good. They lost their quarterback, which was pretty much the bright spot of their team. I mean, what?
Hey, if there's not much to say, just say that.
There's not much to say. They're bad on offense. They're even worse on defense. They lost their quarterback and the good receivers that they actually had last year, and they still went 3-7 last year with a decent quarterback and good receivers. So they lost all three of those, or all their good receivers and their quarterback, and their running back got shot. Yeah, worse than 3-7 this year. I mean, yeah. Which I'll go game by game if you like.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you'd want, I mean, I have a record prediction for them. If you want to give a record prediction too, or you can go game by game. I'll keep a tally for you.
So obviously last year, I know 3-7 sounds weird, but obviously their final two games of the season were canceled after the incident they had on the bus on campus. But this year I do have them finishing 3-9. They beat James Madison, beat William and Mary, and beat Georgia Tech, and that's about it.
That's exactly what I have. Yeah, I have them go 1-7 in the conference, 3-9 overall, beating all the same teams you mentioned: Georgia Tech, William Mary, James Madison. I will say, I think their defense is probably light years better than their offense, only because their offense is god awful. Not only does their offensive roster suck, but their coordinator sucks even more. Their returning production, dog water. You already touched on that. I'm not really going to get too much into this. They average some of the worst yards per play. I mean, they have almost zero explosiveness. It's not going to be a pretty team. Like I have them 13th, but solely because they're beating because of me. I say because of me, but because for me, I have them beating Georgia Tech. That's the only reason I have them above Georgia Tech. And but I
I
will
have, I
go
have Georgia
ahead.
Tech winning a couple more than them, uh, but it is interesting how an offense can go from being so dynamic 2 years ago in 21 to god awful in 2022 with many of the same players. Just goes to show you that an offensive system is everything sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can wrap them up. I'll say a couple players I had listed as notable for what that's worth. This Chico Bennett Jr. and Cam Butler, both defensive players, both returning starters, both defensive linemen. I think the defensive line is definitely the bright spot on this team. They're not. I wouldn't call them a great defensive line though. I'm just saying their defensive line is probably the best thing on this team, or the best thing they got going for them on this team.
The best of the worst.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But
Yep, I
if you'd
agree.
like, we can move on. We can move on to the other Virginia if you'd like.
Yeah, we can move on to the other Virginia.
So yes, Virginia Tech. I have them personally at 12, only because they're beating Virginia. Like I said, this is
Mm-hmm.
these little personal rankings here. Very nitpicky, and like but I mean, and the crazy thing is, I have them having a worse overall record. But like I said, I mean, I really don't know how the conference rules, the conference standing rules are for the ACC. But I'm just assuming that it's mainly goes by conference play, and that if you beat a team, you're above them if tied. So,
Yeah. If and of course it'll go by like overall record if they didn't play, I think.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, actually the ACC just did away with their divisions, which I'm in favor of. I don't really care for the divisions in many conferences. I think they should do it away. It takes away from some of the conference championships, like when Michigan's playing Purdue. I
Yeah,
mean, come on now. Or like Georgia playing a depleted LSU team last year. Like
yeah,
LSU had a good year, but they weren't. I mean, they're not on that level. I would
right.
much, granted, they got their butts whipped earlier in the year, but I would much rather see Tennessee get another crack at Georgia, if
Mhm.
anything else.
Yeah,
Who was definitely probably the second best team. Not probably, definitely the second best team in the SEC last year.
calm down, calm down.
So, but yeah, I have Virginia Tech at 12 as well. Just for me, the offense never got going really in the last year. They're second worst overall in the ACC. They averaged just 19 points per game. There was no consistency. Um, Grant Wells is going to be the quarterback, I believe, and at Marshall, he was decent. He's good size, good arm, good mobility. He has the experience, um, but he has thrown like 31 interceptions the last 3 years. So got to cut down on those. Um, I think their backup is former Baylor quarterback Kyron Drones, who is like built like a running back, but he does. I don't think he throws the ball real well. So there's not really much of a quarterback competition. But if Wells can't get it going, I'm sure we'll see a change. Um, but they did get some decent targets in the offseason. They got sorry, Allie Jennings from Old Dominion, who's kind of their speed guy. Jalen Lane from Middle Tennessee, and then DeQuan Felton from Norfolk State. So some production there, but all at the all at a low level. I mean, Middle Tennessee is not great, Old Dominion's not great, and Norfolk State is definitely not great. So um, I just don't have high hopes for them. I think they'll be better than last year, um, but defensively, I think they're better than people give them credit for. Their defensive coordinator is a young guy, but I think he's just going to kind of use Virginia Tech as a stepping stone. It's kind of sad to see how bad Virginia Tech's fallen off. Um, I mean Years ago, they were one of the best programs in the country. Now they're just not good at
Hmm.
all. They went 3-8 last year. I'm projecting to go 5-7. They'll beat Old Dominion. They'll beat Marshall. I think they'll beat Wake Forest, Syracuse, and Virginia.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I think you said everything I was going to say. I think they probably have one of the better defense coordinators in the league, as young as he is.
Oh yeah,
As a defense plays better than, like I said, what people give him credit for. I mean, they got a pretty decent defensive roster, and I mean, the offensive roster, I mean, it's average, but boy, do they underperform. I think that's just
it's
a
like you
good
said.
word to put it.
It's so average. It's crazy.
Right? Yeah. So I mean, the defense is going to be the bright spot.
And in a
But yeah, not
game
much.
like college football, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. I say it all the time. I think offense trumps defense as far as college football is concerned. I mean, I feel like we see it all the time. But
Without a doubt.
yeah. So, but with that being said, I only have them beating Virginia and Old Dominion. I have them going 2-10, 1-7 in the conference.
Mm.
Yes, I don't think it's going to be pretty for them. But at the same rate, I think they could easily they could go 5-7. I don't really know with this
Yeah, I
conference this
mean,
year. I think it's going to be
it's
close
just
game with Purdue, close game with Rutgers. I think Marshall. I'm not going to say Marshall waxes them, but I don't think. I think Marshall's got them. Um, Obviously, Pitt and Florida State they won't win. They play Wake. I think they could win. I don't think they're going to. And
I
then
made a
yes, the rest of the
mistake
games from
of
there.
saying a few episodes ago that Wake Forest was a pretty good team. I forgot that they lost their quarterback, so no, they're trash.
I have them. I have them at 11 for what it's worth. But
I
I don't
have
know if you.
them at 9.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
But
if you
like
want,
like we both said, I
yeah, I know
mean,
that's what I said. That's why we're going team by team. It's just interesting. But yes, I have Virginia Tech at 12, right above Virginia, only because they beat Virginia in the conference. And if you want, we can move on to. I'll let you pick the poison, either Georgia Tech or Wake Forest. Who you want?
oh, we'll go Georgia Tech.
All right, let's throw it to
Um,
Georgia Tech.
so still another one of those teams that used to be a good player. I mean, not a good player, but good team, but they just fell off hard. But I think the offense this year will be a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
They could not pass the ball last year. They were dead last in third down conversions. Horrible on downfield passing. They couldn't stay ahead of the sticks. They gave up a lot of tackles for loss. I think they only scored 16 5 times, and that's the only 5 games they won.
Mm.
So yeah, just I mean, just not a good team. They have to play a very specific way to win games. We'll see, but I do think um, I'm sorry. I do think their offense will be a little bit better this year.
All right. Do you have like a projected record for them?
Yes, one. I have them going 5-7.
Mm-hmm.
No, 4-8. 4-8. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
They'll lose. They'll beat South Carolina State, beat Bowling
Mm-hmm.
Green, beat Boston College, and beat Syracuse.
All right. All right. Yeah. So 4-8, 2-6 in the conference.
Yes,
Um. Yes. And where do you have them? Where's that put them on your rankings?
I
Out
believe
of
that
the
is.
14?
Let me see, 11.
Nice. Okay. Well, I got them at 14. I have them. I'll go ahead and rip the band-aid off. I got them going 2-10, 0-8 in conference play.
Mm.
I have them beating South Carolina State Bowling Green, and I put a little. I said they may be able to eke out the game against Boston College. I don't think they're going to. I think they probably have the worst coaching staff in the ACC, which does not help. Obviously,
It's not saying
you know,
much.
right? But you mentioned earlier, Virginia Tech had 19 points a game. Oh, great, Georgia Tech doesn't even have 16 points a game. They may be. No, they're not the worst in FBS, but I mean, boy, they sure are knocking on the door right there. Um,
Yeah.
Look, the passing offense blows. Running offense is okay. Your rushing defense blows. Passing defense okay. Actually, I'll say it's good. I'll give them that. Well, for what it's worth, I think they got a couple
Woo!
transfers coming in. Yeah, I know exactly. Groundbreaking. It would surprise. I don't know. I don't know. their goal this year is to try and go bowling, but have fun. You have one of the tougher schedules in NCAA.
Y'all know that
So
ain't happening.
yeah, I was supposed to say best of luck. Like I said, I got you going 2-10. Peyton 4-8. I mean, granted, I could see them going 5-7 too. I don't think that's going to happen. Their defensive backs are probably the bright point. Sorry, I'm sorry. The shining. What am I trying to think? What am I trying to say here? You get what I'm trying to say?
I have no idea what you're trying to say, dude.
Bright spot. We'll just say bright spot of this team is the defensive backs. Good returning core of them. But yeah, I got them getting 2 wins this season. Rank 14 for me.
Yeah. Do you want to do Boston College next?
Oh yeah, we can. That's fine by me.
So I have Boston College. Okay, no, I messed up. Boston College should be 11. No, 10 for me. 10 for me. And
No.
Georgia Tech 12, Virginia Tech 13, Virginia 14. Boston College, I have going 6-6, beating Northern Illinois, Holy Cross, Virginia, Army, UConn, and Virginia Tech. Don't get it twisted. They're not winning 6 games because they're decent. They just have a super easy schedule. They're not good. They lost their quarterback, lost their best receiver in Zay Flowers.
My boy.
Yeah, Zay Flowers is one of a kind. But I mean, they have the ability to do decently, but I don't
Just
think
as
they
any
do.
of these other teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say they returned some decent production in terms of their running backs. But like I said, they lost Bill Yurkovich, so I just don't see them succeeding too much. And like I said, they only win 6 games because of such an easy schedule.
Right. Yeah, and I got them beating the same exact people you said. I have them 10th in my rankings. I have them get 6-6, 3-5 in conference play. The only thing you got really go for you is that minus Zay Flowers, you got pretty good returning production overall. Your roster overall is pretty good. Production, not really. Especially in the offensive side, the offense really underperforms compared to the talent on the team. They could be so much better, but they won't be, unfortunately. And yeah, basically, good for you. You got an easy schedule. You get to play the other bottom feeders of your conference while not having to play many powerhouses in your conference. So good for you. You're going 6-6 probably, 3-5 in the conference play. You may get to go bowling. We'll see.
You want to move on to Syracuse?
Yes. Did we already covered Wake?
No, not yet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to keep track because I
I'm
know we're
guessing
like
Wake is 10. Oh, you said 11, huh? Wake's
yeah.
11 for you?
Wake is a low. Yeah. Wake is 11 for me. That's what I'm just trying to keep track on my document here. I need to highlight the teams that we covered because we're jumping around so much.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah, we can cover whoever you want to next if you want to do. Who'd you say, Syracuse?
yes.
Yeah, let's do
So,
Syracuse.
they're a little questionable.
Sus.
They lost their best defensive player in Deuce Chestnut to LSU.
What a name.
Yes, which he's very good actually. So they went 7-6 last year. I think they go 5-7 this year. They'll beat Colgate, Western Michigan, Army, Boston College, and Wake Forest. And that's about it. I don't think they go bowling. Some key players for him: Garrett Schrader, Oronde Gadsden. I have a hard time saying that name. And Caleb Okechukwu.
Yeah. What'd you say about having a hard time saying his name? Try to have fun with that one.
All 3 pretty decent players. Garrett Schrader's got some potential in there. Hadn't unlocked it fully yet. Obviously, the transfer from Mississippi State. If y'all are unfamiliar with Garrett Schrader, he's the guy that did like the helicopter twirl after getting tackled one time against Kansas State. I think they lose badly to Clemson, lose badly to North Carolina, lose badly to Florida State, lose badly to Pitt. So none of their losses are really going to be pretty losses.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we shall see, but I just don't have big hopes for them. Like I said, they lost Deuce Chestnut. They lost their starting offensive tackle, Matthew Bergeron, and they lost their stud running back, Sean Tucker, pleased. If you don't get that reference, he used to, after every game, he would go on Twitter say if he was pleased or displeased with his performance that day. Some questions I have for him though. O-line could be decent. They have a new coach, but will it hold up with a new coach? I know a lot of times when you get a new offensive line coach, the system tends, they're trying to go back to teach the basics and not some things that you really need to work on, such as like blitz pickups and stuff like that. So we'll see how that translates over. They did revamp their secondary after Deuce Chestnut left, but I still don't think it's going to be great. It's full of transfers, and I'm just not sold on transfers all the time. I don't think you can build a team with transfers. And then another question I have is Garrett Schrader himself. He could be an impact player, or he could be the bane of their existence. We'll see which one he is.
Yeah, well said. I got Syracuse 7th in my rankings. I actually have them going 8-4, 4-4 in conference play. I'm a little bit higher on them. I say defense doesn't mean a lot, but I think that would be the shining point of their team this year. I think they have an average roster build. Their staff really isn't the best. Offensive line is probably one of the worst in the conference. I know I'm not saying too many good things about them. I got them winning 8 games, but I will say the potential's there. Yes, I know. I will say the potential's there. I think the offense will probably outperform what they're projected to. Defense is going to be good. They got a pretty solid pass defense. Top 25 in the country, I'd say. They got some pretty solid players. Marlo Wax, linebacker, will probably be the captain of the team. I'd hope so. At least I'd want him as my guy. But I got Syracuse going 8-4. I got them beating Purdue, Virginia Tech, Boston College, Georgia Tech, and Wake. And then I got them obviously beating Colgate, Western Michigan, and Army.
You don't have them beating Clemson?
Not quite. Not quite. Yeah, the games they're going to lose, kind of how you're saying. I think the games they're going to lose, they would not be pretty losses. And that's Clemson, North Carolina, Florida State, and Pitt. I think they could easily lose to Virginia Tech. I think they could easily lose to Purdue. And they could probably lose to Georgia Tech, too. Like I said, it's just, like I said, we're in the bottom tier of this conference. It's just like that. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yep. We'll move on to Wake Forest if you like.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Finally get them because they're on my second page. They're so far down.
Yeah, so I don't mind Wake Forest. They've had a super explosive offense the last few years. Their head coach has done a really great job there. They still have some talent at wide receiver with Jamal Banks. So I think they can overcome some losses that you have them at. Obviously, they lost Sam Hartman and A.T. Perry, their quarterback and their leading receiver. We'll see if their offense can remain elite without Hartman. Their defense is absolute Swiss cheese, though, and they are horrible away from home. So can they start winning away from home is the question. I don't know that they can. I do have them going 7-5. They'll beat Elon, Vanderbilt, Old Dominion, Georgia Tech, lose to Clemson, lose to Virginia Tech, beat Pitt, lost to Florida State, lost to Duke, beat NC State, lose to Notre Dame, and beat Syracuse. No, not beat Syracuse. Hang on. Beat Virginia Tech.
Anyways, yeah, so I got we're talking about Wake here, right? Yeah, so I got them going 5-7, 2-6 in conference play. Got them 11th.
I say Virginia Tech. I mean Georgia Tech.
I figured. That's kind of what I heard whenever you said. I heard Virginia Tech, but I clicked to Georgia Tech in my head. But just like you said, that defense blows. The passing defense is. I mean, I could probably easily spot the weak points in their zones and just pick on their man coverage all day. But with that being said, on the flip side, their passing offense, one of the best in the country. And then rushing defense, pretty good. I say pretty good, but good. Rushing offense, pretty bad. So they're a weird team where they seem to have the polar opposites on each side of the ball as far as the passing or rushing are concerned. They don't really have that much returning production. Like I said, their best shot for me, their ceiling to me is 6 wins, and that's if they can beat Duke. And I'm only saying I think they can beat Duke only because Duke's passing defense blows as well. and Wake Forest has a good passing offense. Obviously, I still have Duke winning that game. Like I said, I got them going 5-7. They're going to beat their first four. People are going to hype them up because they're playing nobodies. Then they're going to lose the rest of the
Ole Miss
games
factor.
except Then they're going to lose the rest of the games except Georgia Tech. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Except wait, hold up. Let me think here. Yeah, no. I said I have them going 5-7. Oh, I'm starting to rethink that. Virginia Tech. I mean, look at me. I mean, you're getting freaking confused between Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech.
I know, dude. Just kick one of them out the conference.
You get rid of this. I'm tired of getting them confused.
I
But with
know.
that being said, if you want, we can move on to NC State.
Yeah, well, real quick, off topic. Did you see the game in 2021, Army versus Wake Forest?
Perhaps.
The final score was 70-56.
Who won?
Wake Forest did, but they gave
Nice.
up 56 points to Army.
To Army.
Mm,
Unreal.
just ugly. Who'd you say you wanted to move on to?
NC State.
Oh, cool. I have them at 8.
Nice. I have them at 9.
So some notable players for them is Brennan Armstrong, Peyton Wilson, and Shaheem Battle. Brennan Armstrong, obviously the transfer from Virginia, had a really rough year last year, but I think that was more so the offensive system. I think he can return to his form that he was in Virginia. Some question marks I have for them, though, is their defense has been elite the last few years. Can they remain there? I don't know. It felt like it took a lot of wind out of their sails when Devin Leary transferred from them to Kentucky, because he was solid for him. I mean, he was consistent. I mean, he wasn't going to go out and change a game, I don't think, but he was definitely, I mean, consistently what they needed. Brennan Armstrong is anything but that. So, how will quarterback play be without Devin Leary? We shall see. Skill players on the outside, like the wide receivers, running backs, got to be better. If they can take a step up, I think NC State could finish higher than 8. But they did lose Devin Leary to UK, as I was saying. And they lost Devin Carter to West Virginia, another huge loss for them on the outside. Interesting note I have on them is they were 7-0 last year when scoring 21 or more points. So the key for them is scoring 21. Just 3 touchdowns. That's all they need. 3 touchdowns.
And 3 extra points.
And 3 extra points, which if you're an LSU fan, you know those are tough to come by. Overall, I have them at 8-4. They'll beat UConn, beat VMI, lose to Notre Dame, beat Virginia, beat Louisville, beat Marshall, beat Duke, lose to Clemson, beat Miami, lose to Wake Forest, beat Virginia Tech, and lose to North Carolina.
All right, yeah, fair enough. I think you covered all the points. I really won't say much other than what I got them going. I have them going 6-6, 3-5 in conference play. I have them beating Virginia, Marshall, Wake, Virginia Tech, UConn, VMI. I think Miami's going to be a really good game, a really close game. It helps that you're playing them at home. I think if you beat them, that's your 7th win right there. So good luck, NC State. I think you'll go bowling. I think that should be your minimum goal. Your schedule is kind of in your favor. Go make the most of what you can.
Yep, I agree. Moving on, who do you want to cover next?
Let's go to a blue blood in basketball, Duke.
Duke. Wow, you have them pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are high on Duke, so it's a little surprising.
I'm realistic about them.
That's fair. Scroll up to them. I do have them at 5, just because they returned so much of their production from last year. Obviously, you return their top 4 wide receivers. They returned their quarterback. Had a good run defense last year. Obviously, their pass defense was sketchy. Their running back last year, Jordan Waters, had 123 carries for 566 yards, 8 touchdowns. Nothing eye popping, but solid numbers. So my question marks for Duke, though, can they take the next step? I mean, they finished the year off pretty well last year. Tons of returning production. Can they capitalize on it? And my final one is, will Duke finally start caring about Duke? And what I mean by that is, obviously, we know what they are in basketball. Blue blood, like Zach mentioned. but they've had years in other sports, be it baseball, softball, football, that they've flashed a little bit, and that you see the potential that they have there. But it just feels like they can't string together multiple years of success. And I think a lot of it has to do with the athletic department just not putting as much effort into football and other sports as they do into basketball. For good mention, I mean, like Zach said, they are a blue blood, so you're proud of your history in basketball, but I think it's time to start branching out now too.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I just have a couple notes here. I think they have a pretty good coaching staff. And I think, even though they don't have the best roster, I think it does say a lot. You mentioned it already, the returning production. They don't have the best guys on either side of the ball, but I think they have enough cats that can help them win games where they probably shouldn't win. But in the same sense, these guys aren't good enough to win the games you're supposed to win in the same sense that they're probably going to lose some games they probably shouldn't have lost. And they're probably going to win some games they shouldn't have won.
Yep.
So, but like I said, that's just kind of the tier I have them in the ACC. I do have them going 6-6, 3-5 in conference play. They're my 8th ranked team. I just don't really see. It's going to be very tough for them because they have a decently hard schedule. Sucks. You have to play Clemson, you have to play Notre Dame, you have to play Florida State, you have to play North Carolina, you have to play Pitt, and you have to play Louisville. Those are their 6 losses I got them going for. I believe I mentioned 6: Clemson, Notre Dame, Florida State, Louisville, North Carolina,
So
Pitt.
I got to lose 4 games. North Carolina, I think they beat Louisville. I think they lose to Florida State. I think they beat NC State, lose to Notre Dame, and lose to Clemson.
So lose to Notre Dame, lose to Clemson, lose to Florida State, lose to North Carolina, and that's it?
Yep. Four losses.
Yeah, okay.
Which is, look,
no, I wasn't saying okay as in like okay.
No, I know. There's room to do it in there. Will they do it? Like I said, that's my final point on them is will Duke start caring about Duke?
Right. Yeah, I think unfortunately, as much as they could beat Louisville, they could also very much lose to Virginia.
By 3 scores.
So, yeah. So you just never know. Yeah, I think Duke's gonna be that fun team to watch, though. They may, like I said, they could easily outperform what both me and you are saying, but like I said, having a tough schedule doesn't really help things. I just don't. Like I said, I think, yeah, that's about it. That's all I'll say about them. I got them 8-6-6, 3-5 in conference play.
Yep. Moving on, Louisville next.
Sure, sounds good to me.
So Louisville, obviously, new coach, new quarterback.
Lamar Jackson's.
So they lost Malik Cunningham and Monty Montgomery. I think those were their 2 biggest losses of the year. Offensively, I think they'll be all right under Brom, however you are supposed to pronounce that. For whatever reason, I don't have their record on here. Let me look on a website, see what they have projected. So this could clash with my prediction.
That's fine.
I don't have previous projections.
That's fine. I can go ahead and mention what I have them. I have them 6 on my list. They're in that they're on the top of the bottom tier, or like the bottom of the middle tier for me. I have them going 8-4, 5-3 in conference play. Louisville, great defense. Not the best offense, but definitely not bad. I think
it'll come together under Brom, though.
Yeah, and I was kind of about to say that too. I think it's good that your rushing game is better than your passing game because it is so much easier to set up your passing game with a good rushing game. And like I said, your coaches are decent enough to understand that. I think they are personally, but so I think you'll be okay there. Let's sum it up though. I do have them beating. Sorry, let me look at the schedule and be sure here.
I'll say mine. I have them beat Murray State, Indiana, Boston College, Duke. No, not Duke. Virginia Tech and Virginia. They could easily lose some of those games, but I think Brom will be a good coach for him. He built Purdue into not a juggernaut by any means, but a pretty good program over there. Mm-hmm. The only thing I question is, can he replicate that at Louisville? Because I feel like I see a lot of good coaches go to their alma maters it just kind of flopped. I mean, you saw Brent Venables this year at Oklahoma. Um, I know he didn't graduate from LSU, but Ed Ogeron. Granted, he won a national championship. Um, but he after that, we know what happened. We know what happened. Um, so I just feel like sometimes going back to your alma mater isn't the best thing.
Right. It's more of like a personal nostalgia feel. It may not even be the best fit. You're just doing it just to do it.
Maybe
But
a comfort type of thing
yeah.
as well. Like maybe you feel too comfortable there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And perhaps I guess we don't know, but yeah, I got them going 8-4, 5-3. I finally figured it out. By the way, I got them beating Duke, beating Virginia Tech, Virginia, Georgia Tech, Boston College, NC State, and I think they can even get 9 wins if they beat Kentucky. And I really don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities.
No, it's not at the realm. It's not outside of the realm of possibilities. I think it would be difficult, but definitely, like you said, not out of the realm of possibilities. I'm not too high on Kentucky.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm about as high on Kentucky as I need to be, if that makes sense. But I think Louisville can comfortably probably get 7 wins. I got them getting 8. So uh, good for you for having an easy schedule once again. You're just one of those teams in the ACC. And I guess, the toughest team you have to play in your conference is Miami, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so good for you. Good for you, Louisville. It's
Unless you
showing me your
count Notre
season to look
Dame as an
good.
ACC team, because
I
they,
mean,
I mean,
yeah, it might as
technically
well.
they're not, but
Right, but you almost might as well.
yeah,
We'll
I mean
say
they,
on paper in the conference then.
yeah. Well, moving on, who would you like to cover next?
I have Pitt next in my list at number 5. I don't know where you got them.
Let's see, I have Pitt at 5.
Nice. Okay, Pitt it is.
Yep. So Pitt's an interesting team. I feel like they always have a great D lineman. I mean, obviously one of the best players in the NFL, and Aaron Donald came from Pitt. Uh, Last year they had Kalijah Cansey. Sorry. Um, but offensively, other than the year they had, or the few years they had Kenny Pickett, they've been a little bit inconsistent. So it'll be interesting to see how they from go from there with Phil Jurkovich. He obviously just transferred from BC. He's a quality, experienced quarterback. I'm not going to go out and do anything crazy for you to win games, but he'll do just enough to win you games. So I'm not crazy about him. I think he can be solid. I think Pitt can do very well, but I don't think he can put them over the top of maybe like a Florida State or
Mhm.
a Clemson. Obviously, I do have them going 9-3. They beat Wofford, beat Cincinnati, beat West Virginia, beat North Carolina, beat Virginia Tech, beat Louisville, lose to Wake Forest. No. I'm sorry. Pardon me. They beat Wake Forest, lose to West Virginia, lose to Notre Dame, lose to Florida State. So I have them 8-4. I'm sorry, not 9-3. Beat Syracuse, beat Boston College, and lose to Duke. So losses to West Virginia, Wake Forest, Notre Dame, and Duke.
So, sorry, losses to who again? West
No,
Virginia. West
no.
Virginia.
Not what? Yes, West Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame, Florida State, and Duke.
Okay, so you think they beat North Carolina?
Yeah, I think they upset North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah. So I got Pitt
They
5.
always tend to have a great defense. I mean, they have a great defensive pass rush. So
Mm-hmm.
just whether or not the offense can join the party or not,
Mm-hmm.
I think losing Kadon Slovis kind of hurts them, because I do like Slovis. I think he transferred to BYU, but he was great at USC a few years ago.
Yeah. Sorry, I just read a tweet saying Tony Snell may be returning to the NBA via the Warriors. Um, yes, I know, but yep, I think you hit all the points that I was going to say. One of my bigger points is that the offensive coordinator, unfortunately, does not bring the best out of that offense.
No.
Um, so I
Is it
mean,
still Pat Narduzzi? No,
that
he's
really
the head
sucks.
coach, huh?
I believe so. Let me see. Um, LMNOP, right? Pat Narduzzi is the head coach. Your offensive coordinator is Frank Kinetti,
That's right.
and defensive coordinator Randy Bates. Keep up the work, Randy. Um,
Facts.
yeah, I got them going 9-3. Actually, I only have them losing. Actually, I'll say who they win against: West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Cincinnati, Louisville, Wake Forest, Syracuse, Boston College, Duke, and obviously Wofford. And I think it's going to be a very close game with North Carolina. But I think North Carolina's going to be able to pull that one out. That's my kind of got North Carolina pretty high. Well, got a lot of these
Oh, I
teams
do
pretty
too. I
high,
just think
but
they drop a stunner.
yeah, whatever.
So, moving on. Who do you have it for?
North Carolina.
Oh, interesting. Okay, we'll cover North Carolina.
All right, let's do it.
Where are they at? Freak. 1 second. Let me find them
I
out
think they're
here.
in North Carolina.
Yeah, no, couldn't find them. So North Carolina, obviously their key players, first and foremost, is Drake May, if not the best, one of the two best quarterbacks in the country. Had an absolutely stellar year last year. We'll see if he can build off of that and get even better. Mac Brown's a great head coach, so I think he'll pull more out of Drake May this year. Now the question is, if he builds off of this stellar year, could he actually put UNC over Florida State and Clemson? I don't know. Their defense is pretty suspect, and the only thing I have a problem with in terms of offense is the supporting cast for Drake May. I do like British Brooks. I think he could be a solid running back. He was a solid running back before getting hurt. I'll name team as well, British Brooks. He could be the bell cow for him this year. So he is also a seventh year senior, I believe, and so he's got some experience with that. Lost their two best receivers, Josh Downs and Antoine Green, last year. Defensively, there's not much to harp on except for Cedric Gray. I think he's a very good linebacker. He was all ACC a year ago, and he played he played 985 snaps last year.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Offense, muy bueno. Defense, no bueno. Also a guy on the defense, Miles Murphy, along with Cedric Gray. Those are really the only two. Well, no, I mean they actually have a pretty good defense, but man, they once again, it's just one of those situations where I think your defensive coordinator is really hurting you. Man, I feel like if they could bring someone in that's actually worth a crap, North Carolina may, I wouldn't say they're the team to be in the ACC, but boy, they'd be. I mean, they'd be knocking on the door with Clemson and Florida State this year, honestly.
Oh yeah.
But they're not. I got them going 10-2, 6-2 in conference play, only losing to Miami, Clemson, and once again, close game with Pitt. That'll determine if they get double digit wins or not, in my opinion.
Yep.
But yeah, I believe you. The offense is going to be firing on all cylinders. Defense, not so much. Defense is going to do some stupid things out there that's going to leave you scratching your head.
Yeah, they're gonna
But
look like a high school team out there.
yes. But yeah, with that being said, I got them 4 in my rankings: 10-2, 6-2.
Yep, I agree with that. Same for me, except for I had them third in my rankings, not fourth. I have Miami at 4. Man, I'm just not sold on Miami.
That's fair. That's fair. Why is that?
Miami, just consistency. I don't like Mario Cristobal as a coach. I do have them going 8-4 with losses to A&M, Temple, not Temple, um, North Carolina, Florida State, and Clemson.
I have them losing to Bethune Cookman, Temple,
Sorry,
Virginia.
that's what I get for reading before. I think. No, I just don't. I don't. Consistency for them is just not there. Defensively, they had moments last year they were good, and then they had moments that they looked like a high school team out there, like against Middle Tennessee State, when Middle Tennessee State's just chunking it down there. It looks like Tyreek Hill's running down the field. They can't catch them. The announcers are laughing at him. I mean, it was just unbelievable, dude. I've never seen something so funny that an announcer was literally laughing at them as he's calling the game. It was just unreal. Um, a far cry from what Miami teams back in the day were. I do think they have one of the best players in college football in Cam Kinchins, though. All world safety there. So maybe they can build around him and make that solidify that defense. Tyler Van Dyke, I like him as a prospect. I don't like him under Mario Cristobal. Mario Cristobal runs a Stone Age type of offense. It's trash. Not a big fan of Mario Cristobal. Another one of those guys that's coming back to his alma mater, and he's disappointing. They have a new defense coordinator, so maybe they can clean up the coverage bus. And I just don't think they can win the big games against like Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina. Um, I will say one player to watch would be Francis Mauigoa. He's a freshman offensive tackle. He was a jewel of their signing class. Look for an immediate impact from him.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you pretty much hit all the points I was going to say. I do have them going 9-3, 6-2 in the conference play, only above North Carolina because I think they beat North Carolina. I do think, though, kind of opposed to you, I think this will be the year they put it all together. Not put it all together to go like make a big run or anything. I still, but at the end of the day, have them losing 3 games to no, I'm sorry, not North Carolina, Texas A&M, Florida State, and Clemson. So they could very well lose to North Carolina, though. So, I mean, there's that. But yeah, I think you said everything I was going to say, actually. So, good job.
Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of Miami. Obviously, more of a. I do enjoy watching Florida State, so obviously not a big fan of them. So 1 and 2, I think we agree that both of these teams are interchangeable. I think a lot of it, I think more of it depends on what Clemson looks like this year for me,
Mm-hmm.
more so than what Florida State looks like. I think we know what Florida State's going to look like. Jordan Travis has been consistent throughout his time at Florida State. He is a 6th-year senior. Yeah, 6th-year senior. So he's gotten more and more productive over the course of the year. I mean, the years.
Mm-hmm.
Now just add an offensive line and more weapons to that. They're going to have a good year, man. They have Jared Verse returning, potential top 10, really a top 10 lock last year, and he passed up a top 10 pick to return to Florida State. One of the freakier guys in the country. Harold Perkins-esque. Maybe he had some better production than Harold Perkins last year just because he started every game. But the one thing I do think about Jared Verse is I think he can be kind of injury prone at times. It felt like every game that I watched of theirs, I look away for 1 second, I look back, and Jared Verse is on the ground, writhing in pain. I'm like, golly, man, just stay healthy. Um, Jordan Travis is going to be good, man. And then he has some great targets to throw to in Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. Both of them. Johnny Wilson, I believe, is 6'5" and basically a track star. I mean, he's going to be great. Keon Coleman, who everybody thought was going to be the wide receiver 1 for Michigan State this year, obviously entered the portal, had it down to LSU and Florida State. At the end of the day, LSU wouldn't offer him really basically a wide receiver 1 spot, and he ended up going to Florida State where the wide receiver room isn't as crowded. If you follow LSU, you know that wide receiver room is always crowded. And you just can't promise anybody a wide receiver 1 spot there. Not that I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 at Florida State either, because you bring in Hakeem Williams as well. He was the highest rated high school recruit last year for Florida State. They're the gem of their class. Freaky athlete for Florida State. It'll be interesting to see if he can make an immediate impact. I think he can. Some question marks I have for him though. Adam Fuller, the defensive coordinator. I don't know if he can keep the defense consistent. It feels like at times they're very inconsistent. Specifically the secondary for them. So I have my eyes on them. Another thing is their offensive system is very different. It's basically a high tempo running attack, kind of like Ole Miss had back in 2021. That's Mike Norvell's kind of bread and butter. When that fails, what are they going to turn to? I know Jordan Travis is a good thrower. But what gets him out of trouble a lot is his legs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when that running game fails and they make Jordan Travis's arm beat people, like especially against defense such as LSU, Clemson, whoever they may play in a potential playoff opportunity. And now I will say they did lose two pretty big players. They lost Sam McCall, former five-star at high school. He transferred to Texas A&M, and Micah Pittman, their bigger-bodied wide receiver, not in terms of height, but more like a blocking kind of guy. He transferred to Utah. Slot guy. Obviously, his brother Michael was in the NFL. I'm sure everybody's familiar with him. Micah's got some ability, but he hadn't really shown it yet. So he went ahead and transferred to Utah, and I think we're gonna see somebody easily slip into his spot.
What do you have their projected record being?
I think it's either 10-2 or 11-1. I do have them losing a game or two. I don't know where they come. Probably to somebody like Clemson or LSU. Those are really my two games to circle. I don't think they lose any other games.
Right. Yep. No, I got the same. I got them going 11-1. Going undefeated in conference play. They're number one for me. I only have them losing to LSU, so I said they'll be 0-1, but then they'll win 11 in a row, rattle them off pretty easily, I think. Except Clemson, like I said, Clemson's going to be a nice little game to watch. Yeah, talent is going to supersede everything on this team, everything else on this team, I should say. Um, I think I'm not saying this is the year they're going to win the championship, but boy, if they really want to make a good run, you
This is
know,
it.
yeah,
This
gotta
is
go.
it.
You got to go for it. I mean, you got to, especially. I mean, you start off the season against LSU. I feel like if you beat LSU, the conversation really has to start that okay, this is definitely going to be a playoff team. But we'll see. We'll see. Yep, I got them going 11-1, undefeated in the conference play.
And you have them losing to LSU.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be not a sneaky good game, but a very good game. Obviously, we saw the two play last year, and it was everything I could have hoped for in terms of that game. I mean, what a great game that was. Came down to the extra point, man. But was a great game. I think we're going to see a better version of Florida State this year. Last year they did hit a bump in the road. They lost three straight once they got to the hard part of their schedule. I think they overcome that this year. But the question mark is they haven't beaten Clemson in so long. It's just going to be interesting to see if they can finally get over that hump.
Yeah, I think this will be the year they do it.
I think so too. Obviously, Clemson is my 1/2 team. I think Dabo Swinney's built a monster over there, although they have been a little bit quiet since they lost Trevor Lawrence, which feels like an eternity ago, but it was really 2 years ago. So that just goes to show you how good this program or how good the program he's built is. Cade Klubnik has the ability to be just as good as Trevor Lawrence at Clemson, former five-star, highly, highly, highly rated quarterback out of high school. He's got a new offensive coordinator, and guess who that offensive coordinator is? Lincoln Riley's brother. So he was at TCU last year. Obviously, we all know what TCU's offense looked like last year in the not just. I'm not saying in the national championship, but they got to the national championship. Very good offense, high octane offense. Kind of another similar to like Mike Norvell in terms of high speed running game. So Will Shipley is going to be the guy that everybody looks at. He's one of the best running backs in college football. He receives it well. He runs it well. He can run really fast. I mean, dude's the real deal. So I think he's going to be really good under Riley. I think Klubnik takes another step under Riley. I think Clemson's going to be really, 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 really good this year. And then, of course, defensively, Dabo Swinney's going to make sure that's solid. After losing Venables a year ago, they really didn't make too. The defense didn't change very much. I mean, they had a lot of the similar stats in terms of scoring defense, the yard per game defense, takeaways, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's pretty much of the same there in terms of defense for Clemson. They did lose DJ Umiangale, and the only reason I have that as a notable departure is just because I wanted to say his name. Um, he was he was another guy that was a former 5 star, really highly rated quarterback at a high school. However, I think just a bad offensive system really uh, hurt him and Cade Klubnik last year. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
neither guy was solidified as the starting guy. So, a revolving door quarterback, inconsistency at wide receiver, which I think they changed this year. I mean, when's the last time Clemson went a few years without having a guy at wide receiver? It feels like they haven't had a guy since Justin Ross, and even him, he was hurt his last year. So, really, T. Higgins. I mean, it's been a good little minute from a school like Clemson that usually produces super high level wide receivers.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head on everything. I got them. I got them going number 2 in my rankings. 11-1, just like Florida State, except the only difference being they lose to Florida State. I think that's going to be a great game, and I do think they kind of have a little rough part in their schedule where there's like 3 games in a row. They got to play Miami, NC State, and Notre Dame. They could easily lose one of those 3 games. I don't think they will, but they could.
I think they lose to
Um,
Notre Dame.
yeah, I mean that could definitely happen, and just as
I guess
much
we
as they
probably
lose to
should have
Notre
covered Notre
Dame.
Dame in this episode since they're an independent, but
I mean,
typically play more ACC teams than anything.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. ACC is kind of yeah, I don't know, weird like that. But we can
Yeah,
cover the independents and like maybe like the top group of 5 teams or something in an episode. I
yeah.
don't know. We'll
But
consider it, but
after kind of looking at the ACC, it really is crazy to see like the differential between the Big Ten, SEC, and the ACC. I mean, top to bottom, this
mm-hmm.
conference really isn't great, other than 2 teams.
Right, right. Yeah, well, that'll do it for the ACC preview. Hopefully, our predictions are somewhat right. I think they will be. I think me and you may have called some shots on some of our games. That should be fun to watch. See if they turn out the way we think they're going to turn out. But yeah, you have any closing thoughts?
Um, Only thing I want to hit on is just a little bit off topic, but Sean Strickland and Adesanya is confirmed for UFC 293,
Yes, yes,
as I mentioned last episode.
yes. Valuable sources gave Peyton insider information.
I
That's what
don't
I'm
have
talking about.
sources, by the way, guys. Don't no, don't look
Yeah,
for
you
me
do.
for sources.
You are the source.
I'm the source.
Sometimes that's how it is. Yeah,
I
I guess
somewhat
a
do
fun
have
matchup.
sources, but they're not very reliable. So
Guess not. But oh yeah, I guess that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, it is very greatly appreciated. Thank you for sitting through our ACC preview. If you agree or disagree with our standings, obviously me and Peyton, this is probably the most will vary in a single conference ranking preview. So should be interesting. I'd be interested to hear what other people have.
we
So
haven't covered the Big 10, Big 12 yet.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, I guess that's it.
Yep.
Thank you
Thanks
all
for
once
listening,
again.
guys.
Yes, absolutely. Peace.
Peace.